Hey everybody. So around this time last year, I decided I wanted to find a marathon training plan, and I've narrowed it down to 3. So Pete Pfitzinger's Advanced Marathoning, Jack Daniel's Running Formula, and the Hansons Marathon Training Plan. And I did a ton of research and I tried to find videos online comparing these 3, and I had a hard time finding a lot of information about it. I'm actually really curious if anyone listening has tried any of these 3 plans, or if you've tried more than one, and if so, which one you went with and why, or if there's another training plan out there that I should check out. Just let me know in the comments. So I just went ahead and I bought the books. I bought some of the books physical copy, and I also bought them on Audible, so I was listening to the audiobook version. And I'll put those links down below, so if you want to find it on Amazon or Audible, you can find them there. So I decided it might be helpful for me to make this video after having read the books and listening to them on Audible multiple times and comparing what I learned about the 3 plans. And I'll tell you which one I went with to PR at the Boston Marathon by over 10 minutes. I got my time down from 3:26 to 3 hours and 15 minutes. Following one of these plans. You can decide for yourself if one of these plans is right for you. So first, some things that all 3 of these plans have in common. They're all written by legit running experts, so you don't have to worry about that. They've all convinced me that they know what they're doing. All 3 of the authors emphasize the importance of fueling, nutrition, hydration, sleep, strength training, mobility, all of that stuff. They don't deny that any of that stuff's important, so we all know all that stuff's important. What really is different about the plans is the actual structure of your weekly training cycles. So I'll break down what I found from each of the plans. Okay, I'm going to start with Hanson's training plans. The first is that they don't recommend any long runs that are longer than 16 miles. So there's no 20-mile long run. There's no 22-mile long run. 16 is the highest, longest run that you'll do in these training plans. So the reason they say for this is because for a lot of people, if they're running more than 16 miles, such as if they're doing a 20-mile long run, it's going to take a long time for you to recover after that 20-mile run. So what they don't want is for somebody to go out and do a 20-mile long run that might take them over 3 hours and then have to take 1, 2, or maybe even 3 days rest after the 20-mile long run. That is not what the Hansons Plan wants you to do. The Hansons Plan believes in cumulative fatigue. So you're putting a lot of miles on the legs and then you're running on tired legs, because in a marathon, your legs are going to get tired. So now you are used to running on tired legs. The thing I love the most about the Hansons Plan in this book is how they emphasize that you cannot cram all your miles in on the weekends, which previously I have been guilty of. We're all busy during the week. We all have jobs, families, and life. And for a lot of us, it's easy to skip runs here and there during the week because we're busy, or maybe we just go out for a quick 4 or 5 miles here and there. But then on the weekends, we're running 30 miles on 2 days of the weekend. And the Hansons Plan emphasizes that this is just not going to work. You need to have your frequency of runs and the distance of those runs be long throughout the entire week so that you're not cramming everything in on the weekend. And that I really liked and agreed with, because I have been guilty of that. And then you feel like you're losing fitness during the week, and then you're cramming everything on the weekend. And then by Monday, you're so exhausted from all the running you did on the weekend, you feel like you need to take a day or 2 off. So that was something that really resonated with me with the Hansons Plan. Another thing I liked about the Hansons Plan is that it had very structured workouts and prescribed structured mileage for every day of the week throughout your training plan. So it told you how many miles to do each day, what type of workouts and what workouts you're going to be doing each day. In the Hansons Plan, there's a lot of shorter speed workouts at the beginning of the plan. So you might be starting out with 400s, 1800s, 1,000 meters, fast running like 5K, 10K pace at the beginning, which to me made a lot of sense. You want to like get your legs used to turnover and get like that fast running in at the beginning of the training cycle. Then as you progress throughout weeks in the training cycle, you go to less of that short speed work and more strength running. So more like marathon pace running, or even like about 10 seconds faster than marathon pace. Also throughout the entire duration of the plan, you'll be doing tempo runs, which in Hansons Plan look to be about your marathon pace. So you're doing like actual marathon pace runs. This structure of speed work at the beginning, then strength work made a lot of sense to me. And I can see why so many people are so successful with Hanson's marathon training plan. And I know a lot of people have said it has given them a PR and it works really well for them, because if they're running like 20-mile long runs, they get injured or they just get really tired. So they prefer just to do the 16-mile long runs. On the other hand, I can see how not doing a 20-mile long run and just doing 16 could maybe be mentally an issue, like maybe less physical and more like, I never did more than 16 miles. I'm not ready for 26.2. So I can understand both opinions. Okay, now let's talk about Pete Pfitzinger's Advanced Marathoning. So this book I really enjoyed reading, and he does go into a lot of detail on the other supplemental stuff besides just running. So like the nutrition, the strength training, the importance of sleep, and all of that kind of stuff. What I noticed right away with this book, there seemed to be less speed work from what I saw, and more mileage. And for me, that works really well. I tend to get really tired when I'm doing more than one heavy speed work day every week, but I don't mind just doing those long, easy miles. So to me, this plan looked really good. Pfitzinger's plan does have several 20-mile long runs and some even 22-mile long runs. Now, there doesn't seem to be any specifically prescribed speed work within the long run, but they do suggest that you run your long runs, you end with like going faster than where you started. So maybe you start out going a little easy, and you're not just doing junk miles during your long runs. You're giving a good solid effort, and you want to end at a faster pace than where you started. To me, that made a lot of sense, because that's what you ideally want to do in your marathon. You want to, stay pretty consistent throughout the marathon, and if anything, maybe even try to get a little bit faster so you have a little bit left in the tank at the end. And that made a lot of sense to me, so that was something I was interested in Pfitzinger's plan. What I thought was kind of different as compared to Hanson's plan, it seemed like more of the strength-based speed work was at the beginning of the cycle, and then at the end of the cycle, there was some more faster VO2 max, 5K, 10K type stuff, which to me seemed a little bit backwards, but that's one of the big differences between Pfitzinger and Hanson's, besides the length of the long run. Another thing I liked about Pfitzinger's plan is there's no really prescribed specific hill work. Instead, he recommends, train on the type of elevation or the type of terrain that you expect to see at your actual marathon. So for the Boston Marathon, the first half or so is mostly downhill, and then you hit the big hills like Heartbreak Hill around mile 20. So during my training workouts, I would always start the run going mostly downhill and then flatten out. And then I would always end the run with a lot of hills to mimic what the Boston course was like. And so whatever course you're running, you want to check the elevation profile if you decide to go with Pfitzinger and try to mimic what you see in the elevation profile. And similar to Hanson's, Pfitzinger's plan has all of your days and mileage structured throughout the plan. So there's no guessing, should I do 5 miles today or 10? Or should I do 2 runs today, one with 6 miles in the morning and one with 4 miles in the afternoon? Or should I do all 10 at once? His plan does give you very prescribed mileage. So that's another thing that I think a lot of people appreciate, because we don't have a lot of time on our hands to be planning out a bunch of runs for the week. Instead, you can just kind of look at the calendar and say, okay, this is what I have to do today. Okay, the final marathon training plan book that I read is Jack Daniel's Running Formula. Now, Jack Daniel's is much more of a sciencey based book. There are some intimidating types of tables in the book, and these are the V-dot tables. So Jack Daniel's has created this V-dot formula that predicts what paces you should be running for different types of speed work and different distances of races. And you don't even need to know anything about math, and you don't need to get out your scientific calculator to calculate your VDOT, because there's plenty of calculators available online for free, and you can just plug in some numbers and it'll spit out all the numbers you need to know for VDOT. And I really actually love this kind of stuff. I love numbers and VDOT and VO2 max, so I thought this was cool. But I think the science behind it and the math and the formulas and the tables could be intimidating to somebody that's just like picking up the book for the first time. So just know, like, there's plenty of calculators out there to do all of that for you. Another great thing about this book is not only does it have marathon training plans, but it has everything from the 1 mile, 5K, 10K, half marathon, and even cross country. And then it not only has one specific marathon training plan, but it has several different options of marathon training plans with different timelines. So you can kind of create your own adventure to what works best for you. Now, the biggest difference with Jack Daniel's versus Pfitzinger and Hanson's in terms of the actual training plans is there's a lot more flexibility as to when you schedule your easy miles. So for the marathon training plans, there's usually 2 or even 3 speed work sessions prescribed every week, and those are laid out very clearly. But for the rest of your miles, for like that 80%, which is just easy running, there's no prescribed how many miles you should do every day. So you kind of have to do that yourself. So say you want to run 60 miles per week, and they've prescribed here 10 or 15 miles worth of speed work. That other 45 miles, you have to figure out when you're going to do them and how you're going to divvy them up throughout the week. So if you're somebody who wants that extra flexibility as to how many miles you run each day, you might like that. But if you're somebody who doesn't have a lot of time and just wants to check off what you got to do today and go, that's not going to happen. You have to spend like one day every week just planning out when you're going to do your run and how many miles you're going to do. And I know a lot of us runners, we love that kind of stuff. Like, we love planning. But at a certain point, if you just don't have the time or the energy to just be sitting there calculating how many miles to run each day, then this book does not do that for you. You have to do that work. For me personally, there's been many times that I have attempted to do a Jack Daniel's training plan, not for the marathon, but for like a 5K training block or a half marathon training block. And every time I end up falling kind of off the wagon. And the reason for that is because, like I said, there's 2 or sometimes even 3 days of speed work every week. And I don't get injured, but I get really tired. Like, just that feeling of like, ooh, I'm just physically, it's beyond just tired legs and marathon training. It's like deep exhaustion from all the speed work. I think if I actually wanted to be successful with a Jack Daniel's training plan, I'm a more higher mileage runner, so I like to go like 60, 70 miles. But the speed work associated with the 60, 70 mile plans is a lot. Maybe I would cut back and do the speed work that was prescribed for the 30, 40 mile plan, but then run more slow, easy miles for the rest of them. So that might be something I would do if I really ever committed and got serious about following one of Jack Daniel's training plans. I mean, it's an intense program, but I'm sure if somebody were able to actually follow what was prescribed here, there's no doubt they would have a really successful marathon. Just for me, I've always had to give up on it because I've just gotten too tired and it almost burns me out, and I don't really want to do it anymore. I don't look forward to the speed work as much. So overall, the one I picked for my Boston Marathon in 2024 was Pfitzinger's Advanced Marathoning Training Plan. Last year, I followed the 55 to 70 miles per week plan in here. And like I said, it gave me an over 10-minute PR on Boston, which was a tough course. And it was a really hot day. It was 2024. So I think if it was a cooler day, I could have done even better. So I was really happy with this plan. It had just the right amount of speed work. It had a lot of those easy, slow miles, which I appreciate. And then it had those long runs that I felt really confident going in to run a 26.2 because I had done so many 20 milers and 22 milers. And I was able to get through the whole plan without any injuries. So in the end, it all depends on you. If you're an injury-prone person, you might prefer Hansons. If you love speed work, Jack Daniels probably for you. If you just want to run a lot of miles, still get just enough speed work, I would go Pfitzinger. All right, thanks everybody for listening, and I'll see you next time.